So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started here. Okay. Hello, Dana. I told Reverend, this topic is very sensitive that I might get triggered. So I just tell you guys in advance. So whatever comes out, and we keep it moving. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. We got representation from the UK.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So what we're talking about today is colorism, okay? The master's tool, okay? And so when we're talking about that, the master's tools will never be dismantled, okay? Dismantle the master's house. That's Audre Lorde, right?
Mhm.
All right. So what we're going to do is, colorism isn't just about skin color. It's about power, okay? It's a system that rewards proximity to whiteness while quietly devaluing darker complexions, even within the same community, okay?
Family,
Yes, exactly. And we're going to get into this, okay? And Alice Walker describes colorism as prejudicial or preferential treatment of same race people based solely on color, okay? And we know that this is prevalent because back in the slavery days, our own people was selling each other out to save ourselves. Did it save us? No, because the same thing ended up happening to us. What you do to one person, it comes back to you tenfold. And I remember that in my daily life. Okay. So, Reverend, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Reverend Evelyn, and I'm seated right here in Arizona, but I live in New Jersey, and I am a minister of spiritual consciousness, which is a new thought denomination. I am an ordained minister, and I am a licensed science of mind prayer practitioner, which is basically like a prayer chaplain. And in October, I published an article on Blackstack, and the title was Colorism, the Master's Tools. And it got a powerful response from readers. And so Margaret and I wanted to talk about it tonight. So, yeah.
So you want to talk further about it, Reverend?
Yeah. So I am sort of a member of Blackstack, and with the fabulous Jackie Verbal, and we were she hosts a productivity hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we were in productivity hour talking about stuff, and the topic of colorism came up, and some of the people in the room didn't realize that color. So there's in any sort of group of people throughout the world, there is the concept of colorism as pertaining to Alice Walker's definition. So from a clinical perspective, colorism is sort of a human thing, right? It's a weird way that humans have of categorizing each other. Like we somehow, as a race with a capital R, as in human race, we have decided that people with darker skin are of a lesser status, bizarrely. And but the difference, sort of the nuance that we're talking about, is colorism in the Black community, because owners of enslaved people back in the day used it as a weapon because they wanted to divide and conquer. So on these plantations, which are really death camps, work/death camps, right? A slave owner may have himself and his wife and his 3 kids, let's say, but he might own 60 slaves. And if those people were all working together, they could overthrow the master and his family. And so there was sort of a culture of trying to divide the enslaved people against each other so that there would be no unity. And so colorism was one of those tools that they used. And so it's a bit insidious because now um, us walking around on the earth today as descendants of enslaved Black people have taken that master's tool and we're using it against each other. We are using a tool that was created to divide us from one another, to actively prevent unity, and we're using it against each other. So, in my article, I said it's time for this ish to stop. And so, Margaret and I were talking about, really discussing this issue because, we've taken that terrible tool and we've run with it.
Let me give them an example, Reverend, before
Please.
it slips my mind. We'll give you an example. Say, for example, like the Reverend here, she would be considered the indentured servant. She would be allowed to work inside the house because she's light, okay? So me being darker skinned, I would have to work in the field, okay? Period. So that automatically, all the darker skinned people are really going to despise Reverend. Okay, well, who she thinks she is? She can go in there work in the house. She cleans she takes care of the babies. Okay, she feeds. She prepares the meal or whatever. So all the lighter skinned people, they get, it's privilege. Okay, to work into the house. You get you might get the scraps that the people, leave. Okay, because normally after your shift is over, you got to go back to the service. I think that they would have to go back there. I don't think you would be allowed to live in the house because you can't go through the front door. You got to go through the back door. You're not even allowed to eat the same food. Okay, I don't know what kind of food you're eating. Probably the chicken necks and the feet. But you're not eating the same food as them because they figure us is not, we are down here. They are superior to us. Okay? So then, because then the master, he can take whichever woman he wants. Okay? And his wife's not gonna say nothing. What can she do? Where can she go? She don't have her own money. So she just turn her head and act like, okay, everything's cool. He can have all the slaves he wants because at the end of the day, he coming back to his wife, okay? So that's what it is. So you see all the lighter skinned women, most times they probably have the heritage from European blood, from being most times they just rape you. They don't even ask you anything. They just take what they want because you are their property. Okay? They paid for you. And so what they do is you come there with a family, they break that family up. If you got the mama, the kids, they send those to different slave owners. Okay, they don't want that. Like you said, they don't want that unity. So you might end up finding your kid years later and find out, oh, this is what happened to my kid. Or you may not. So you got brothers and sisters out there that exist. You don't even know who they are.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. I mean, so both my parents are Black, but a few years ago for my birthday, my eldest daughter purchased an ancestry kit for me. And I took the DNA test and so all of my life, people have asked me if I'm biracial. Because I discovered when I was in college, because they asked me in college, whether I was biracial or if I was light skinned, because colorism is so insidious that Black people will treat a biracial person differently than they would someone who they know both parents are Black. So, all of my life, people have like, "What are you?" What? Trying to figure out what I am. My eyes used to be, I used to have eyes my eyes used to slant up like this, like all the time. So I looked Asian. I found out that's from Nigeria. That slant is from my Nigerian ancestors. But anyway, when I took the ancestry test, I found out that I have about close to 40% European blood. I have 32 different ethnic things, ethnicities in my DNA. So yeah, I'm all over the place. But yeah, so it's really challenging to move through the world knowing that people are trying to figure out how to categorize you.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out sometimes who I am, because that changed from day to day, depending on the circumstances. Okay, let's talk about family, for example.
Mhm.
Okay, my mother had 3 kids by different fathers. It is what it is. Whatever. Okay? So my oldest brother is light skinned. Okay? My I'm the middle child. Okay? So, and then my younger brother, I think I haven't seen him in so long. Okay, it is what it is. When you grow up in a dysfunctional family, it's like, I'm not gonna do all the calling. I'm not gonna do all the giving. If you don't want to if you don't want to give nothing, then I'm gonna help you out. I'm not gonna call you. Period. Okay, because we can. If you can't invest in the relationship, then there is none.
Right.
Okay, I'm over it. Okay, so I'm sorry. What was my point? Oh, my point was. Okay, my
Your
point
younger brother.
was. Yeah, I don't remember. I think he and I might be the same skin tone from last I remember when I saw him. Okay. But my older brother, like I said, he was light skinned. Most of those, like I said, he probably has some European in his system or whatever. And he reached out, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, to find out he had a sister, a stepsister, and a step brother or whatever. I don't know what came of it, because he and I ain't close, because he ostracized me because of my father. So that's how messed up my family is. Anyway, he was the apple of my mother's eye. Okay. And he looked just like my mother. He was light skinned. Okay. And I couldn't stand him because of that, because she rejected me. And I figured she rejected me because I was dark skinned. Okay? So I'm like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. So if you're rejected by your own family.
By your own mother, not just the family, the woman who birthed you onto this planet.
Exactly. My brother. I was rejected by my mother and my brother, my older brother. Okay? Yeah. And the rest of the family too, because my father decided to have a relationship outside of his marriage. Okay? Is that my fault? Okay? And he was a minister. Okay? And Okay, now we're talking about colorism, so that's what I'm saying. If you can't trust your own family, and your own people, okay, after that, I'm like, you know what? I was just really done with my own people after that, because I'm like, and then you get into a job. Let's use that as an example. You got your own people. They get close and everything, and you think you cool and everything. The first one gonna cut you is your own people, okay? Because you're gonna fight with them, we got this going on, you know how they do us. Let's just band together, let's stick together, and then we can conquer, help each other out. That's the first one that's gonna cut you. Okay? So when I see them comment, my own people, I'm like, nah, I don't want, no, I'm not gonna start something with you and then get cut by you, okay? I'll take my chances with the Europeans, okay? They're much more nicer, just much more, not that they won't cut you, but my own people will cut me first. And I recognize that from when my own family did that. So I am very leery, okay? Very leery. Oh, what's up? You want to be cool? What you want? Okay, because they always want something.
Yeah.
Period. You wasn't talking to me before. Now you want to talk to me all of a sudden? What's this about? Really? I'm not going to ask them, because they ain't going to tell me the truth anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like, no, y'all trouble, y'all go. And then our people, it's like, oh, you think you better than us because you got this degrees and all this and that and the other. You know what? They can say what they want to because none of them people paying my bills. Okay,
Right.
period. You can talk all that shit you want. Go back to where you come from. If you ain't bringing nothing, go away.
Yeah.
Period. Okay, I have a few that I'll keep, they say keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. And that's true. Okay. So I take everything with a grain of salt until you show me something. Till you show me something, I'm gonna keep you on a short leash.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, no offense. You know what I'm
I
saying?
get it. But
So go ahead.
in writing that article, I mean, it's not
Okay.
something. It's not news, right? It's not news. The issue of colorism is not news. It's just not discussed. It's not something
Exactly.
that Black people, we don't sit around at Thanksgiving and talk about, right? But it's experienced every day. Like, I mean, you talked about your siblings. Both of my parents are African American. My mother is lighter than me. My dad is darker than you. So you see what I look like. My brother, I have this four of us. My brother is lighter than me. My brother looks like my mother has four brothers. And if you line them up and you put Michael in there, you can't tell who is not a brother. My brother looks like my mother's family. My oldest sister and my youngest sister look like my dad. So they have two quite dark children and two very, very fair children, but from the same people. That's just how phenotypes, I mean, that's how it works. Um, Gratefully, my parents did not treat us differently because of this. There was no perception in my family that people now, outside of the family. Yes, we had an uncle who was ridiculous. I'm not going to even bring him up. But inside of our household, there was plenty of dysfunction, but dysfunction had nothing to do with the color of our skin. It was just, garden variety family dysfunction. Um, but outside of it, definitely there was. And which I just, throughout my whole life, I've found it ridiculous. And I wondered, what will it take for, we know that race is a construct, right? And so we also know that colorism is a construct. So what can we do as a people to sort of cut this off at the root so that generations don't keep carrying this forward?
Education.
Yeah.
Like these conversations that we're having, okay? But if people are not willing to open their ears and listen and then to apply this in their daily lives, it's just a waste,
Yeah.
okay?
It
Because
requires change.
exactly. And this doesn't just impact our community, it impacts the world.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Because, I mean, it affects who you marry, it affects your workplace, it affects education,
Your
all of
children.
these things, and children, and dynamics, as we mentioned, within the household. Fortunately, it wasn't a dynamic in my household. It was a dynamic in my husband's household. Um, and, I found my mother-in-law, who is, well, she's passed away now. Very, very, I mean, she's as dark as as someone from the African continent, which I can't say because there's also a nice, beautiful variety of colors, even on the African continent. But my mother-in-law was a teeny tiny, very, very, very dark woman. But she only preferred the fair-skinned people,
See what I'm
right?
saying?
So I just feel like she traded because my children, again, because I have 32 ethnicities in me. My children have different skin tones, even though my husband, was Black. Um, and so, yeah, my mother-in-law treated my children differently because of my eldest is lighter than me and she adores her. And my middle daughter is very dark and she has no time for her. So it's ridiculous.
Let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
How does that make your daughter feel? You don't think she can tell the
Oh, she
difference? That
absolutely,
she can see that?
She knew. Yeah.
How
At
does that
first,
make her
I don't.
feel?
Yeah. So at first, I don't know that she knew it was because of her skin color. But then, as she got older, I think that she intuited it, and my husband and I separated, and so we used to do the every other weekend custody thing. And at one point, she just said, "I don't want to. I don't want to go see Daddy. I don't want to. I just don't like the way Grandma treats me." And so I told him, I said, my daughter, Layla's not coming. And he's like, I will decide when she stops coming. I said, well, she has decided for you. She's not coming. So, yeah, so she opted out with her, she felt like she was not being treated the same and she didn't have time for it. So she opted out. Um, so yeah, it's very challenging. Because even, as we have said, even when you have two Black people coming together, you never know what the children are going to look like. And everyone just has to be treated equally. It's just not right to bring children up feeling inferior about something that they cannot control. And also because the outside world is going to treat them poorly enough. They have no safe place if they can't even be loved at home for what they are.
Right. And how long did it take for your daughter to realize this? Because all these
She was
things are
about 8.
happening to her.
Yeah,
Okay,
she was
and
about
these
8.
things,
Yeah.
a lot of these things are still happen to her at school too.
Yep.
And so when did she get some relief? Okay,
Yeah. But
so that's why it's
yeah.
so important for us to have this communication with our
Yes.
children early on when we spot there's a problem to figure out
Mhm.
what is the problem.
Yep.
Okay, we can spot something quicker than the kid can. We just
Yes.
can't ignore things and think it's just going to go away. It's just going to
No.
get worse if we don't address it.
Mhm.
Okay, if my child is not uh accepted, I don't care who you are, I'm not coming either.
Exactly.
Period. I'm gonna
Yep.
stand by my child. I don't care nothing about you. Period. You can be the president of the United States. You can be my husband's the whatever.
Mhm.
If she's not welcome, you're not welcome here, and I'm not associated with you, period. We have to take a stand, okay?
Absolutely.
Because we see these things happening. I'm gonna tell you, these things also happen in these relationships where the mother or the father to choose this outsider over your own kids. Okay? So what happened? You lay down and had these kids, okay? But now you don't want them because this man said, well, these not my kids and I don't want nothing to do with them. So you throw the kids away. But when that man throw you away, uh, then you want to go back to the kids? No, you don't come back over here.
No.
I'm sorry. You
Yeah.
chose this man over me or this woman over me? No. You can't come back later and say I'm sorry. That
Yep.
don't you can say I'm sorry. I heard you. Bye. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And I noticed all the time that I was growing up, they would call my brother's name. Oh, he's doing this, he did that. Anything I did, it's like you hear crickets, okay? They put him on a pedestal, okay? Yeah, he did this and all this, that. I'm like, okay. They made all these differences and didn't realize it. The thing of it is, did you all ever have a conversation with the mother-in-law or whatever, say, look, we're going to tell you this is a problem. She might not even be aware of it.
Oh, yes. No, she was
She
fully aware
has,
of it.
okay,
Yes, I had a conversation with my husband about it,
okay.
and he said he refused. He refused to stand up to her, and yeah, yeah, he was like, no, she's, yeah, his mother, God bless her. Yeah, she was a piece of work.
Okay,
Uh,
so it has to be a reason why he refused, okay?
oh
Because he
yeah, oh
probably
yeah,
tried to, and he's like, I give up. Forget it. That's who she is.
yeah. She was
That's what he
under.
told you.
She was under 5 feet tall. But she was a little. I'm just going to say a powerhouse.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
He didn't even mess with her. So okay.
No. He could put his elbow on her head, like, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I wanted to just sort of really just bring this up and bring it out and sort of think about some tangible actions that we can take and just I guess keep the conversation going about the way we treat one another, as Black people, especially right in this moment in this world when um I heard someone say that this government is trying to defund the African American community.
That doesn't surprise me.
And I thought, that makes sense. I mean, when I heard on LinkedIn, I heard the statistic that like 500,000 Black women have lost their jobs since the Trump administration. I said the word, please forgive me. Since that has happened, that's not accidental.
No, it's a part of Project 2025.
Yeah.
And then that rule book is going to be modified to the 2026 after they done got slaughtered in whatever happened the other day. I didn't go. Whatever. Okay. And so these things are going to continue to happen, but the pendulum is going to continue to move back and forth. We can't rely on them still.
Exactly.
Okay, we have to rely on ourselves. Okay, don't ever get when you get too comfortable. That's when shit hit the fan. Let's keep it real. Okay.
Yeah. So in one of the comments, Lisa Joy says, the fact I look like a colonizer is difficult enough for me. The association with it. And Lisa, you know what's interesting? I don't know if you know, Margaret, do you know who Resmaa Menakem is?
No, tell us.
Oh, so Resmaa Menakem he's an author. He wrote a book called My Grandmother's Hands. And it's a book about somatic healing for Black people, white people, and police. He calls it Black bodies, white bodies, and police bodies. And he had a week-long seminar at Omega in New York, and I went to it in October of, this is 25, in October of 2023. And it's all about using body practices to settle our bodies. As far as Black people, it's somatic healing from the ancestral trauma of slavery. For white people, because white bodies also carry ancestral trauma from enslavement, because you cannot enslave people and not have the consequences in your body. And the same way that that some negative things that we have inherited because our ancestors were enslaved for 400 years, the white people have the same, not the same, but they also have inherited things that carry force to this generation. So we were doing an exercise.
Their ancestors.
Yeah, from their ancestors. So we were doing an exercise. We met in this massive ballroom, and they put these big giant mats on the floor. So we were sitting on the floor during this workshop with Resmaa. And I got really emotional. And so he calls me forward, and I said, because we were working. So first we worked with like white bodies, Black bodies, and then he talked about police. We didn't have any police in the room, but he was working with different. And so I stood up and I said, I'm having trouble because I have within me colonizer blood and the blood of enslaved ancestors, both together. I have Irish ancestors. I have 17% of my DNA is from Ireland. I have DNA from Ireland on both sides of my family. So, I don't know what role Irish people played in the slave trade. I don't know, but that's a lot. 17% of DNA, that's a lot. And so I said to him, I'm having trouble reconciling the fact that I have both. So I can't really condemn white people because I'm almost half, even though I'm technically not biracial, but So it was, I really recommend his books. Resmaa Menakem. He's written a book. His latest book is called The Quaking of America. And he's also a marriage and family therapist. So he also wrote a book, about relationships called Monsters in Love. But I really recommend My Grandmother's Hands because that is a book that is helpful. I am a minister and I have a co-leader. We have led for the past almost 4 years a healing circle. We belong to a spiritual center that is mostly white, but there are some Black members. It's a beautiful multicultural center. But during when George Floyd was murdered, and then a lot of white people sort of got religion around racism. You remember that, right?
Yes.
Yes. We started a healing circle for the Black members of the church, and we've continued. We've just continued. We started it in 2022, I think, 2021. And we've read that book. We read that book over the past 15 months. We've been reading the book and talking about it and doing the body practices. So if I can recommend a tool, somatic just means of the body, right? My Grandmother's Hands by Resmaa Menakem is a beautiful, has beautiful tools in it to help us, everybody, to settle the body and deal with the vestiges of enslavement.
Well, I want to say that that sounds very powerful. The fact that my father was born in the 1920s, okay, he was a racist, okay. He said that he was ran out of Arcola, Mississippi. A lot of Black people left the South, you know, for better opportunities for themselves and their family, okay. So I vowed to not be a racist, to judge people by their character and how they treated me,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And being working for the government, you work with people from all services, all branches of the military, people from all nationalities, okay? And so that was in alignment with my values. And when I come to Substack, um, I supposed to be talking to women, but I had men, so it's like 50-50, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then the LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
community. So what I am doing is building the bridge between
Yes.
all, okay? Bringing
Yes.
everybody together,
Yes.
all like-minded individuals. I don't care what
Yeah.
color, what
Yep.
nationality, a community where we can thrive together,
Yes.
raise each other up. That's
That's
what I'm
beautiful.
about. That's
Yep.
what I'm about.
I love that. I love that.
So how do we do that? We have common goals. We have common interests. We all want to live in peace. We all want love and joy in our lives. Okay? How we get there? Through being motivating and inspiring and uplifting each other. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you're not about that, then you're in the wrong place. Okay?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So when we look at colorism, for example, there was a 2022 Pew Research
Mm-hmm.
study found that 57% of Black Americans believe lighter skin offers social advantages, like we talked about, and 64% say colorism still shapes opportunity, and it does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the change that we want, okay, I don't see it happening in my lifetime. Okay, it's going to happen over time.
But it won't happen over time unless the shift begins, right? So,
Yes.
right. So, do you know Dr. Joy DeGruy? Do
No,
you know who
tell
she
us.
is? Okay. So Dr. Joy DeGruy, she is a doctoral, she's a social worker. She has a doctoral degree, and she wrote the book Post-Traumatic Slave Disorder. So it's another slant on PTSD. But anyway, she if you look her up, it's Degruy is her last name, Joy DeGruy. She has lots of content on YouTube. There's a little clip where she talks about we were just talking about change. Like you just said, it's not going to happen in my lifetime, right? I also used to work for the government. When I lived in Washington, D.C., I worked for the government. And I worked in the District of Columbia government, and my council member was trying to get pass the ban on indoor smoking in Washington, D.C., which was a challenge because D.C. is all about hospitality, and the restaurant industry was up in arms. They're like, no, if you ban indoor smoking, no one's going to come to restaurants. Anyway, so Dr. Joy gives this example. She said, if you're sitting in a conference room and somebody sits next to you and pulls out a cigarette, lights it up, and starts smoking it, you can ask them to leave. You can call a security guard who will escort that person out of the room. 20 years ago, you couldn't do that. 20 years ago, you would have to sit there and go like this. And be subtle about, please don't smoke near me, right? So she used it as a demonstration that in our lifetimes, in recent memory, we have had a cultural shift. It is no longer cool to smoke indoors. It's just, if you're sitting in an airport and somebody's sitting next to you, they light up. It's like, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? 20 years ago, you would have just sat there, right? So in our lifetimes, maybe in 1980 something, we would have said, you know what, in my lifetime, we're never going to see, people not smoking indoors. And it's happened. Even though it's not all 50 states, culturally that has changed. So even if you live in a state that allows indoor smoking, most people don't smoke indoors anymore.
You're right.
So that's something that was a systemic issue. Smoking was everywhere. Now it's not. That was a choice. The law helped that happen. Now you can't make a colorism law, right? Because colorism is behavior. But the change for the indoor smoking is just an example. That is something that in our recent memory lifetime has completely changed. So she uses that example to say it's possible.
I'll tell you why. Because you look at the statistics on secondhand smoke, it's high that affect people from getting lung cancer. That's why. Yep. Like you said, for colorism, it will never happen because it's behavioral.
No, I'm not saying it'll never happen. I'm saying I told that little vignette because you said that it will never. I don't see it happening in my lifetime, and so
right.
I used that as an example because I honestly, I was this close to having COPD. I had bronchitis so bad that I could feel. I felt like I had wounds in my lungs. My husband took me to the emergency room. And the doctor came back with my x-rays and she's like, first of all, I'm going to recommend that you quit smoking. And my husband was like, she doesn't smoke. She never smoked a day in her life. And she's like, but I lived in Washington, D.C. and I took the train to work. And so when I walked into the station at Stadium Armory, there was a cluster of people at the opening smoking. I got on the train, take the train to work. I get out of Federal Triangle, cluster of people smoking by the entrance. I walked to the building where I worked, cluster of people smoking at the end. I was walking through clusters of smoke all day long. So I was breathing secondhand. I got bronchitis so bad that I couldn't breathe from secondhand smoke. So yeah.
See? That's what I'm saying. Secondhand smoke will kill you. Exactly. So
Brandon is right. Yeah. More education has helped. Yeah. Yeah. So the education about the dangers of physical health dangers of secondhand smoke has also helped to facilitate that cultural change.
Right.
I really don't know what would be the catalyst really to change people's behavior about colorism.
Things like this would transpire in the schools. We know that's never going to happen because they're trying to change it to whereas everybody's being taught the same thing and they want to take all that color out.
Yep.
So what does that leave? If you take all the color out, we have groupthink again. Okay? And deprogramming you and reprogramming you to their way of thinking and their way of life and what is being expected of us, starting with our children. Okay? That's why I said that I feel that that type of education really should be have at home.
At home.
Okay? Where you can teach your children about the ancestry and who part of their identity so they know who the hell they are from the onset and not have to worry or understand who am I.
Right.
They're not the same color as I am, but you're telling me we're supposed to think the same? We don't even live in the same neighborhood. Okay? We don't even eat the same type of food. We have no idea what you're talking about.
Yep. And they're taking that cultural education out of schools. And they're so concerned that little white children are going to be embarrassed to learn about what their ancestors did, in the past. But what about the black children? I mean,
created this monster.
Exactly. I mean, when you look at those images of lynchings, I have been to Alabama. I have been to the lynching memorial, to Jason Stevenson's Equal Justice Initiative. What's the museum called? Beautiful, beautiful new museum in Montgomery, Alabama. So we went to Montgomery, we went to Selma, and we went to Birmingham. And that lynching exhibit, I mean, I feel like every American... Listen, Montgomery's not easy to get to. You got to take a little... you got to fly to Charlotte and then you take another smaller plane. But it's worth visiting this museum and the lynching memorial because you get the visceral impact of how many people were lynched in this country just because of the color of their skin. It's amazing.
You have a statistic, a rough estimate?
Oh, I don't remember. I didn't try to.
Okay,
I didn't try to keep that in my head. But there was this one exhibit that is these 5-gallon glass jars that are filled with soil. And the exhibit I stood in front of it and it was up to the sea. I don't know how many feet high, just row after row after row after row of all this. And what it is the soil from the tree, around the tree where people were lynched. So they collected the soil and on the glass jar, the jar was about that big. It'll say Hank Johnson, February 3rd, 1942, whatever city he was lynched in. And I mean, they've done exhaustive research about, it's such a beautiful museum. You've got to go. I believe that Americans, I mean, with all the DEI stuff being taken out of schools and all that, people should go. And I mean, I had to actually leave the museum. I walked out because I was so upset. And I sat on the porch for a minute because I was ugly crying. Because it's just sort of brought everything home to me. And I just sort of felt, I don't know, it felt ancestral, this pain that was just washing over me just for the way we treat each other in this country. It's
horrific.
It's horrific.
It's unspeakable, really.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Honestly, I got treated better by Europeans than I did my own people. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I'm being honest, being frank.
Absolutely. I agree.
And when I come to Substack, I got so much hate from my own people. I'm like, y'all go over there. I don't care.
What do you
For
mean by hate?
real.
What do you mean by hate? I'm curious.
Hate. Well, I would call it jealousy more than anything else, or whatever. They didn't want any part of me. Maybe it's because of my blackness. My own people. Okay, I'm telling you, I've experienced colorism in Substack.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm just calling it out.
Okay.
So, like I said, I get more love from the Europeans.
Yeah.
Okay, and from people underrepresented class. Okay, which is the people that I was looking to help. Okay, but
that's
in
fascinating.
actuality,
I've not seen that. That's unfortunate. I feel terrible that that's happened because, I've been on Substack just a little over a year, about 14 months, and it's really, to me, it's been a lovely sort of a sanctuary. There's been a lot of growth recently, like a large amount of growth. So before that big growth spurt happened, it was a little bit more cohesive. So Netta says colorism is less about behavior and more about belief based on Euro standards. Absolutely. Colonization. Yeah, it's a tool. It's a tool of divisiveness. Yes.
Okay, to everybody's defense, okay, that was when I was first new, okay? And they probably like, who are you? Go somewhere, you new.
Yeah.
We don't know nothing about you. That's why I help, the new Substackers. I don't care what color you are.
Yeah.
Okay? As long as you're a like-minded individual, okay, and not a person looking to take, and willing to give, and being helpful. So
I'm grateful that I found Blackstack like right away. When I joined Substack, I think within the first week or 10 days, I found Jackie, and she was doing a salon on the last Sunday of each month. And so I got in on one, and I mean, we got together. It was on Zoom, and we poured libations. There was an opening meditation. She was playing music in the background. We wrote to prompts. I mean, it was the most amazing experience. And so from there, I met a few people who were on, in that. There was about maybe 40 people on that live. I mean, it was on Zoom, so it was long before you could do Substack Live. But so for me, Blackstack was sort of my entree into Substack. So I guess it didn't really matter what everybody else was saying, right? Because I felt like Substack was this little cul-de-sac that I could hang out in and, just feel supported. So I wish you had found Blackstack in the beginning so you wouldn't feel so outside of things. Because Jackie's an amazing community builder.
She is. I did address, talk to her afterwards, okay?
Yep.
But then as my stars starting to rise, some of the people from the Black community started like showing me some love, okay? So I'm like, okay, I have to forget about the past because we are all receptible at the beginning of people until we get to know who they are.
Exactly.
Okay, because I come from the D, from Detroit, okay? And we like that. And until I know you, I'm kind of standoffish. I don't know nothing about you. I want to first see who you are and what you're about before I associate with you, period. So I understand where they're coming from, but I'm just saying, whereas the Europeans, and so what I said, okay, well, they're not showing me no love, so who else is my next target market? Okay, the guys is easier because I'm a left-brain person and they left-brained, so they're not the problem. So how can I said, well, then my next target market is going to be women, okay? So I don't care what color you are, let's go, okay? So, and then I okay, well, the gay community out there, they need to be shown some love too.
Yeah.
Okay? We all in this together. How can we support each other? And, working for the military, we all about expansion, expanding our reach. I don't care who you are. Let's go. Because we got the air covered. We got the water covered. Okay. We got the grounds covered. Okay. And then we work with the UK. We work with everybody else from all these other countries. We have allies. I say I'm going to use all the tools that the military taught me.
Good.
Even your enemies are your allies when you need them. Okay, so you don't discount nobody. Okay,
yep.
Period.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can meet in the minds. We can come to common ground sometimes on things. Okay. Yep. And then other times we can't. So you leave them back. You got to know when to use them and when to leave them back. Okay?
Absolutely.
Use everybody. Use all your internal and external resources.
Yeah.
Let's see if anybody has any questions. Anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? Please feel free. We thought this was a very good conversation to have. Okay, we need to always address the elephant in the room because that's how we allow ourselves to heal from all this crap that we keep carrying around with us. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of carrying that shit around with me. For real.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to let that stuff go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not sure what her first name is, but Clara said that at least, she was talking to Lisa. She was explaining to Lisa Joy that she heard about the IG explain about the Africa is so rich in materials. Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. They try to figure out where all these resources is and try to figure out how to exploit it and the people. And that's the whole thing with the religious sect. Did the same thing to take from the villages everything they could extract from it and from the people and to whatever to pursue to enjoy themselves, okay? Pleasure themselves. Okay? And so that's why they want to leave us with nothing. Okay? So those days is over with. We are woke. Okay, they talking about woke and unwoke. I don't know what that meant. Okay, I was never asleep.
Yes, you can't afford. Okay, you can't afford to be asleep. You cannot afford to be asleep
ever. Yep. And question everything. Everything you say look too good to be true. It is too good to be true because it's not. It's just a mirage. That's all. And then you get your ass over there and it's nothing there. They're like, oh yeah, it's $1 million or whatever. Like, okay, you go over there and take it for yourself because you ain't gonna bring that okie doke over here.
Yeah, so Netta Faye asks, what might we do to ignite change relative to colorism? That is the $1 million question, Netta. It's like, I think talking about it, keeping it from, have it not be hidden and, discuss it within families and calling it out when you see it, right? Like to have the courage to tell auntie, you can't treat that light-skinned niece differently than you treat your dark-skinned niece. You can't do that. Telling young men, you can't just look for, a light-skinned girl with light eyes. I mean, you have to understand that they're under the umbrella of the whatever construct that we're calling race, right? There's a whole rainbow, and whatever packaging we're in has nothing to do with what's inside. Brandon says we sometimes experience the animosity. I can't see it. It went away.
Let's see Brandon? If I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, Netta Faye, you want to come on over here with us? You can come in the conversation because she has a lot to say. We can bring her on. We'll bring Netta Faye up here. Yeah, Netta Faye got a lot to say. Okay? I know she's not shy.
Not at all. Is she going to come up?
We'll see. I'm going to call. I put it out there for her. We're going to see if Netta... She said no, she's not available.
Okay, very good. All right, Nana,
It's all
I'm driving.
good.
You keep your eyes on the road.
Absolutely.
Keep your eyes on the road, sweetie. Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah. But this
so
was a
did you
beautiful
answer him?
conversation. This was a beautiful conversation, and I'm grateful to you for taking the time and being willing. You said in the beginning that you sort of gave me a warning that you could be triggered, and it's something that's going to trigger all of us, but we have to have the courage to really delve into these sticky topics. Because it's, when you think about it, it's a little bit embarrassing, to admit that, that we treat each other in these weird ways, but the only way to resolve it is to keep it out in the open and let the sun shine on it and, be open and courageous.
Absolutely. Brandon, did you see his statement that he said it happens also in the queer community? These things are taught. Okay, these things are taught from our childhood,
Yep.
and we don't realize it until later in life. Sometimes we never realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the type of subjects that we want to address so people become their best selves, okay?
Yeah.
Empowered leader is about all aspects, mind, body, spirit, okay? And so the healing begins when we stop measuring our worth by another's gaze, okay? Another person's gaze, okay?
Yep.
And
And by
so,
things that we cannot change. You cannot,
right.
it's like we can't change the package that we're born into. We can't change that. So,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
One of the things I thought about is that we noticed the problem with colorism because we noticed a lot of the stars were lightening their skin.
Yep.
Okay, we could see that. Michael Jackson was really clear about that because you remember how dark he used to be and then how light he came. And then I started seeing other black people. They were doing the same thing and
And
then
Africans do it. Yep. Africans
perming
do
their
it.
hair and then trying to become somebody that they were not, to be felt accepted, and then having all these surgeries and everything, trying to become, and you see a lot of Europeans were doing the same thing.
Yep.
You can do that, but you can't change who you are.
Yeah.
You still can't. Okay, you can change your physical appearance. Okay, maybe you can change your skin color and your hair. Okay, but you're still the same person. My daughter told me one day, she's like, well, I'm going to change my name to Ascension. I'm like, okay, change your name. You can change your name to Boo Boo. You're going to still be who you are. Okay, it don't matter what you change your name to.
Exactly.
I'm just saying. Okay, that's,
Yep.
we vain, we look this way, but once you get old,
Yep.
it is what it is. You find the fountain of youth and it don't cost much money. Tell me where it is. I'll go over there. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I used to be like that. I wanted to change myself and stuff. You can't change who you are.
No.
Just accept who you are and move on. Next.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, what can I do? What can I do with what I have now? Okay, without changing anything but just what I can do. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So this has been a beautiful conversation.
It has been.
Really
Thank you so much. This has been a lovely conversation. We had so many, I'm grateful to all the people who popped in with questions and comments. And this was lovely. And I'm so glad to see how your circle is widening and how every time I see, there's Margaret Williams again interviewing somebody else. So I just love how your channel is growing. And this is exciting.
It is. Did you ever answer Nelafay's email? I mean, her question?
What was her question?
I don't know. My
memory. Are you talking about what can we do? Well, yeah, we talked about that. I mean, to have the courage to have these conversations, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's basically it.
Yeah, I know some people are like don't like these conversations. Well, you can just turn it to something else because it's important.
There's a thing you can do with your finger. It's called scroll. You can just keep scrolling.
Okay. Because if we want to elevate ourselves, we need to be informed about what's going on. Okay, whether you like it or not.
And have the courage to talk
Exactly.
about things that might be a little sticky and that might be a little cringy. And to air it out.
Yeah, just like that conversation I had about sex. I didn't necessarily want to have it, but she said, we're gonna do this and put sex in the title. I said, let's do it. Let's go. Okay,
Yep.
we gotta be courageous.
Absolutely.
That's how we elevate our lives and the
Exactly.
people around us. Okay?
Yeah.
Open your mind and you open your heart.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes. Thank you so much, sister.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you all. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.